Approaching risk mapping in an industry like ours is often quite data-driven and complex. As tech supply chain complex, they're global and they're often quite opaque. At Superloop, we have quite a segmented risk mapping that looks at different things such as geography, the life cycle of the product, how much water or energy will the product use during its life cycle, to everything such as, were conflict minerals used in the purchasing of the product? Has the product been created in a geography where there's a high risk of modern slavery, labour exploitation and things like that? In our recent, RFPs for new products, we've even started asking questions around circular economy policies and processes. Do our manufacturers have processes in place to take back hardware for it to be repurposed or refurbished? We also look at, cybersecurity and data policy vulnerabilities. We have an in-house experts that review all of our vendors, and they often will reject vendors based on the way that they handle and process data. For me, really, it was the shift in focus from procurement being seen as that, transactional function to being a key enabler for ESG within the business. Previously, at these type of things, the only real ESG topic that you might hear about would be around modern slavery. But, now we're hearing more and more around how procurement can be that strategic driver for, everything from emissions to, cyber governance and all those types of things. At Superloop, we've implemented our own ethical and sustainable procurement policies, with KPIs on how we manage our suppliers, how we select our suppliers, all of that type of thing. So every procurement policy or process should be looked at through an ESG type lens, especially the ones for early vendor onboarding and pre-evaluation. You want to have a compliant supply chain. It's integral that happens right at the beginning. All of our RFPs, include those pre-qualification ESG type questions. So they're already assessing vendors, and we're able then to stop vendors from participating in tenders if they don't meet our ESG criteria. And also then, collecting the data down the track that then can be used for reporting. So by creating alignment with our business values, and we're able to then communicate to our key business stakeholders why ESG is important, and part of that is aligning it to the business's values around what it wants to achieve in regards to like brand reputation, things like that. And by doing that then gives them the why of what we're doing. For our suppliers, it's incentivizing them sometimes in the way of saying if they help us to meet our ESG role, we then give them preferential status, we give them longer contracts. And things like that. It's also around education. So for us, it's, educating our suppliers around, ESG. And, recently Superloop collaborated with the Telco Together Foundation and with other, major telcos to create and, publish a supplier toolkit that essentially helps suppliers to address modern slavery. Be that through creating policies and processes, and also just understanding what modern slavery is and how that affects them and how it affects their supply chain. Start prioritise. So look at the highest impact categories where you will make the biggest difference. And, I think it's important to remember that this ESG criteria doesn't actually need to, add to our workload. If we are including these questions in our onboarding, in our pre-qualification and things like that, we're actually already gathering the data. And you would actually be surprised how much data already is there. So if you start by even mapping the data that you have, you'd be surprised. Progress beats perfection, and, procurement is, uniquely in a position where we can, lead a lot of change on ESG. For me, I always enjoy getting to speak about ESG. I think ESG is the thing that's changing procurement from that transactional cost center to an ESG enabler, sustainability. And, ESG is the thing that actually changes things. It protects the planet. It, helps people, and it, will make the world a better place. And I think the procurement is really uniquely in that position where we get to push that forward. And, me getting to speak about that means that, I get to be part of that evolution.